Yo, WWE fam. It's time for another update here on WWE News Update. Smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's get into the ring of news. Monday Night Raw closed with an image WWE clearly hoped would stay with fans long after the broadcast ended. The final moments were framed as decisive and unforgettable, the kind of ending designed to define a chapter rather than simply conclude an episode. For weeks, WWE programming had revolved around a single unanswered question: the identity of a masked figure who appeared at pivotal moments, disrupted matches, and loomed over the road to Survivor Series like an unresolved threat. When the hood finally came down and Austin Theory revealed himself, the mystery was officially over. The reaction inside the arena was immediate, but it wasn't unified. Some fans leaned forward with intrigue, others sat back deflated, and many online voiced a familiar wrestling reaction: curiosity mixed with disappointment. The reveal felt important, but not everyone felt it landed the way WWE intended. The weight of expectations. Part of the uneven response stemmed from expectations that had grown heavier with each passing week. Wrestling thrives on surprise, and when an audience begins to feel ahead of the story, the emotional payoff can suffer. Rumors and leaks had circulated well before Raw went on the air, and for many viewers, Austin Theory being under the mask confirmed what they already suspected. Instead of shock, the reveal produced a sense of inevitability. That doesn't mean the moment failed outright, but it did mean the conversation shifted quickly. Rather than celebrating the reveal itself, fans immediately asked a more important question: what was this supposed to lead to? In modern WWE, reveals are judged less by the moment and more by the direction they establish. Austin Theory repositioned. From a narrative standpoint, the reveal still accomplished something significant. Austin Theory, a performer who had drifted in and out of focus, was suddenly thrust back into relevance. More importantly, he wasn't standing alone. His actions placed him within a larger power structure, aligned with Paul Heyman's faction as a young, expendable, and strategically useful piece. That positioning matters. Even if the audience reaction was hesitant, the chessboard changed the moment the mask came off. Theory was no longer just another name on the roster. He became a tool, a weapon, and potentially a symbol of something larger than himself. The silence that spoke loudest. What truly reshaped the story, however, didn't happen in the ring that night. Roman Reigns did not interrupt the reveal. He didn't confront Theory or address the situation in real time. Instead, he said nothing at all. In WWE storytelling, silence from someone at Roman's level is rarely accidental. Roman Reigns is not portrayed as impulsive or reactive. His character operates with patience and control, and his absence from the immediate fallout created anticipation. Fans noticed. They waited. They speculated. Would he endorse the move, dismiss it, or redefine it entirely? That silence functioned as commentary, signaling that the reveal mattered enough to warrant careful consideration. Roman Reigns finally speaks. When Roman eventually addressed the situation, his response felt deliberate and measured. Whether it came through a brief promo, a reference statement, or commentary echoed across platforms, the tone was consistent. There was no exaggerated outrage and no attempt to oversell the shock of the reveal. Instead, Roman spoke like a leader assessing a changing landscape. He acknowledged that something significant had happened and made it clear that it would not be ignored. In WWE, Roman doesn't offer casual reactions. His acknowledgement alone elevated the angle, telling the audience that this wasn't filler television, but a storyline with consequences that would unfold on his terms. Reframing the narrative, Roman Reigns' involvement changes how stories are perceived. When he weighs in on an angle, he doesn't just add star power, he reshapes the meaning behind it. If he frames Austin Theory's actions as a breach of hierarchy and respect, the story becomes about authority and legacy. If he positions Theory as someone being manipulated by Paul Heyman, it turns into a generational story about exploitation and ambition. Either way, the Masked Man reveal stops being an isolated moment and becomes part of a larger conversation about power, control, and who truly shapes WWE's direction. Roman's words act as leverage, giving creative the ability to legitimize or openly challenge the reveal within the story itself. Possible roads forward. From a booking perspective, WWE has several credible directions it can take. One option is to fully commit to Austin Theory as a rising heel weapon within the faction. That path would involve high-visibility segments, strategic interference, and protected wins designed to build credibility over time. Roman Reigns, in that scenario, becomes the opposing force, openly questioning the faction's methods and legitimacy. Another option focuses on immediate emotional payoff. Theory becomes the target of retaliation, with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes channeling fan frustration into a short, intense program built around consequences. Roman's comments then serve as a warning that chaos won't go unanswered. The third option is the most complex, keeping Roman's stance deliberately ambiguous and stretching the story into a longer arc where motivations and alliances slowly reveal themselves. The risks of each choice. Each direction carries its own risks. Pushing Theory too aggressively demands strong promo work and consistent in-ring reinforcement to avoid audience rejection. Immediate retribution satisfies emotion but can feel reactionary if rushed. A slow-burn approach offers the richest storytelling potential, but it requires patience and precision to prevent confusion or loss of interest. Regardless of the path chosen, the in-ring presentation must match the tone set in promos. If Roman frames the situation as serious, then matches must reflect that seriousness through stakes, physicality, and visible consequences. Words alone won't sustain interest. Listening to the audience WWE creative is known to closely monitor fan reaction, and the mixed response following the reveal won't be ignored. If audience sentiment continues to skew lukewarm, adjustments are likely. That could mean sharper, more personal promos, quicker escalation in confrontations, or higher-stakes matches designed to restore urgency. If engagement metrics show growing curiosity and debate, the company may allow the story more room to breathe. The moments that matter most are often the short clips that circulate widely. The hood coming off, Roman's first authoritative response, Punk's visible anger, Cody's sense of betrayal, and Paul Heyman's calculated deflection. Those moments drive perception and creative confidence. The importance of personal stakes. For the angle to truly connect, promos must become specific and personal. CM Punk needs to frame Austin Theory's actions as cowardly and manipulative. Cody Rhodes should position the reveal as the theft of a moment the fans were promised. Roman Reigns should continue to speak sparingly, delivering concise lines that imply consequences without over-explaining. Paul Heyman's role is to counter with polished rhetoric, presenting Theory as a necessary instrument in reshaping the power structure. The tension between Roman's calm authority and Heyman's manipulative venom is where the story finds its emotional core. Vague insults won't work here. Clear motives and tangible fallout will. Survivor Series and beyond. All of this feeds directly into Survivor Series continuity. With Austin Theory now established as a flexible and opportunistic faction member, the road to War Games becomes less about isolated matches and more about group warfare and long-term power struggles. Roman's pattern of silence followed by strategic commentary suggests he's positioning himself not as a passive observer, but as someone who will ultimately challenge or judge the faction's legitimacy. That reframes Survivor Series as a referendum on power, reputation, and control rather than just another event on the calendar. What comes next matters most. In the end, the success or failure of this reveal won't be defined by the moment itself, but by the commitment to what follows. WWE storytelling has always been about aftermath. Either Austin Theory will be punished in ways that feel meaningful, or he will succeed in ways that justify his emergence. There can be no quiet backtracking and no unresolved loose ends after such a high-profile reveal. The moment has passed. What comes next will determine whether this was a misstep or the beginning of something far bigger. And with Roman Reigns now firmly in the conversation, the stakes feel higher than they did when the mask first came off.